Yo, 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 yo! So, today, what we are going to do a track breakdown of the most voted track of the poll that I put in yesterday, which happened to be Belial's Call. So, I have it open right here. Boom! Big cam gone. So yeah, when we have the intro of the track, it starts with some instruments. The main part for me is the bell motif. Then we have some instruments added on top. And for the second half, we introduce the melody with these woodwinds. And I think we also have, some risers here. So we have some drones. We have a reverse reverb thingy. Just really simple, nothing on there. So then we get into the breakdown. The main lead. The chords, by the way, have like the same processing. I have a church bell here that I like. That's like accentuates the root of every chord. Alright, then we have the bass here, which is just a serum. It's just a pretty standard Reese bass. Then we go into the more interesting part, which is the instruments here. You have like and which is a very repetitive thing, like it repeats every like 2 bars basically. So I wanted the choir to make the loop a bit longer. So the choir, as you can see, like loops in double the amount of bars. Then we have just some nice background filler of an organ. What I did really like is you have the and I wanted to accentuate that with a brass. So this is a very distorted like brass. I don't even know how you call it. Then we get the drums that are introduced. And to create some movement, we introduce a new, like this one. Just some pizzicato strings. Yeah, then we have the little bridge part, which is just the bells continuing for a couple bars. We do have like this distorted organ, together with like the kick FX. And we get this part. I also switched to, as you can see here, I marked it, a Phrygian side. We have this nice little synth that gets filtered in throughout this entire section. And we have the first section of the vocal. So the vocals I did myself. These vocals were very fun to record. So let's go into the vocal. So this is the first vocal that I recorded, where nothing is on it. Wait, let me properly introduce it. What's going on YouTube? Welcome to a new episode of What's Cringing. Today we're gonna listen to the raw vocals that I sang. This is horrible. Full cam, you're completely right. I should do this full cam. What's going on YouTube Gaming? Today we are going to take a listen to the raw vocals that I recorded for my track Belial's Call. What's Cringing, everybody? This is going to be horrible. We can switch back from the big cam now. This is the first raw vocal. This is my redemption! This is my redemption! This is my redemption! This is my redemption! Then for these vocals, I pitched them down with a performance shifter, little alto boy. So this is a lot. 3 OTTs. This is my redemption! We have a distortion. This is my redemption! So that's how I did the vocal. This is my redemption! Oh, and we also have this one where I just scream really loud. I found these snares on Splice and they sounded really sick. So I just distorted them, made them a bit shorter. And then we already go to the drop. Fuck you! Kick. I didn't completely make in here. The best kicks I make is when I make like dumb edits or like dumb remixes. And then later I'm like, oh damn, I could use this kick for something nice too. Interesting in this kick is that I made the kick and I liked the tail in it, but it sounded quite mono. So I grabbed a layer where I just like cut off all the mids. And then distortion chains for the kick FX. The screech is kind of interesting. Okay, this screech is just a stretched sample. a frequency shifter, you have an EQ, distortion, you have some reverb, transgate, gain automation. Then you have... The elephant is dying, where's the disto? I think the elephant got shot, man. And we get some drums for the drive, and we get this nice synth. It's just another patch that I made. And we get into what is probably my one of my favorite sections of the track. And what I wanted to do is with like every 4 bars, something gets added or like slowly fades out. We go to like a new kick. One thing that's interesting here is you can see that the volume gets lowered every 4 bars. But the most interesting part is the instrumentation, which starts out with a couple of sounds, which is the choir. Before looping back to the break, I wanted to do something different instead of just and slowly building the track up again. I kind of wanted the end of the job to be like the reintroduction of the melody, to make it really go unstable and like the most peak of what is actually going on, and then like safely return to the melody. So here it also gets played, the third above, and then it just moves on chromatically. Then we have strings doing the same rhythm. We also have this choir. And because there's not many instruments, you can really easily fit that screech type sound underneath. And then we get into the good stuff, because then we reintroduce the guitar in that fill. So the guitar now also gets added. We also introduce this sound, which I love this woodwind a lot. It gets reintroduced in a really chromatic way. So you can already hear that in this second part, there's a lot more tension. Then the woodwind takes over with a new rhythm to maximize like the tension. So we go to the climax of this piece. Choir, I believe. And we have this insane rundown on the diminished chord. It is a fully diminished arpeggio. So this is just an arpeggiator for contrary motion, because I love contrary motion, which is when one sound goes up and the other sound goes down, or vice versa. We have this arp also coming up. Anyways, now we get into the drums. It's very distorted. You get some guitars here in there. The thing that I like a lot that is added here is this counter melody in the second part. Nice. I think this one adds a lot. Yeah, so that's the second break. So we have this synth here, and we have a lot of FX here. We accentuate the energy by... And then we get into the vocal again. These have more to it than the first vocal. So we have the main vocal again, which is... yes.
The light has died, my mind is overthrown. Feeling dead inside, leave me the fuck alone. The light has died, my mind is overthrown. Feeling dead inside, leave me the fuck alone. The light has died, my mind is overthrown. Feeling dead inside, leave me the fuck alone.
Everything is the same, except there's a vocoder in play. And there's another vocoder with like the Call of Duty zombie sound effect. I also wanted this vocal to build up. Then I wanted it to be snappy, so we get the... on the...
Overthrown, feeling dead inside, leave me the fuck alone.
Then we get into the... Yes, I see it in the chat already. Zoom, yes! I see the zooms in the chat. Let's go, let's go. So, this is the kick. A bit of processing on there. Basically the same fills as before, just some drums. Kick FX. Then we add like the drums again. We add this choir. And it goes between the first scale degree and the fourth scale degree, so E minor and A minor. And to change it in between, it's still like a very hard track. I put like a little screech that I made. Basically, watch any tutorial on how to make a screech. But I think it feels it nice, like nicely. You get. I think this is really interesting. Here you can see that I harmonized it. It's just putting a third underneath every note, making sure that it follows the chord, like the scale. And then, of course, a lot of elements get added. So we basically reintroduce some elements used here. And again, every 4 bars, it gets bigger. So now we add thirds in the supporting layers. Now it goes an octave up, and we introduce these layers. All in all. And then for the final one, we add the choir and the organ. And we end on the one. That's like how this final section of tension builds up. Every time a new layer gets added, so we start with just the hi-hats. And then we get the open hi-hats coming in. And then we add like the drums on top. Also the kicks swap around a lot here for like also extra tension building. So yeah, that's basically the end. That's it for the Belial Skull track breakdown. Return of the Big Cam. Thank you for joining the breakdown of Belial Skull. I hope you liked it. I hope you learned something off of it. That's it for now. Bye bye.